Absolute skip-fire from Badenoch. Incoherent conflation of different questions. Utterly nonsensical. She's getting worse every week, says Ian. If I have to hear Starmer talking about the party opposite one more time rather than actually outlining what he is doing as PM, I'm going to scream. And I voted for him. With respect, it's PMQs, so he can only answer the questions that the party opposite has asked. And if that involves comparisons with the party opposite, then it'd be daft not to. Hilarious that Truss sent a letter whining about her reputation. Stop reminding people that I broke the country. Nobody is approaching me for lobbying opportunities, is Cameron's analysis of the situation. The second part of that text being in quotes, imagining what is going on in Liz Truss's mind, which is probably quite a dangerous thing to do in any circumstances. Oh dear, Badenoch is really awful. Genuine question. She's been leader of the opposition for a while now. Has she ever actually done well at one of these? I mean, like properly done well. It's a good question, that, from Mike in Sutton, because I think 2 weeks ago we said she'd done better than before. But that's not the same as Mike puts it, like properly done well.
What do you define as being done well at Prime Minister's questions?
When you've left someone reeling.
You know when you've left someone with a slight bloody nose because they're on the back foot, they're slightly sort of confused by the questions that you're throwing at them, or they don't have an answer to what you're saying, or they look a bit rattled, or you've got all the MPs on the opposite side cheering. Is that a win? Or you've extracted some form of concession out of them that they've admitted that something the government is doing is not great. So there's potential for that. Has she done any of that yet? I'd argue no. Yeah, no. I'd argue no. But is she getting better? Actually, no. I thought her tone of her calmer tone when she gets less angry and she gets less animated, I think it makes her look as a more serious politician. I think she's much better at doing
She can't win. Tom's been listening very closely for the last few weeks. He says Badenoch's new, more measured approach to delivering her questions has reached the point where even she sounds bored of her own voice.
Well, that's it, right? So do you want her to be shouty and really annoying and everyone hates you, or do you want to be boring?
Who'd be a politician?
Well, people used to say that about Keir Starmer, didn't they? How boring he is. But, maybe the British public wants some boring at the moment. But look, an interesting sort of tactic from her today, more of a sort of scattergun approach of topics rather than just going in on one thing. I think we had several questions last week about grooming gangs, didn't we? She really went on one topic and really drilled into the detail, and that's one way of doing it. But today we went from the economy, Che Goss, grooming gangs, bit of Tulip Sadiq, bit of Adams, bit of Sherry Adams, bit back to the economy again. Sometimes that doesn't work as a tactic to thread them all through. But I think the issue of the economy, which she started and she came to end on, I think is going to be a strong one for her to be able to keep batting the government with. And even if she doesn't land a killer blow, she'll feel, I think, happy that she's able to chip off just a little bit of confidence, even Keir Starmer, even if there is no one knockout.
Yeah, and some of these issues will not be going away. Some of them Keir Starmer will be hoping will be going away. He could do without any more personnel issues, couldn't he? In the near future. It's a funny one. I'd forgotten. I think they listen now and pick up some key points that they certainly used to. I ran through all of the Tories who didn't resign, despite having been measurably in much, much more trouble than Tulip Sadiq has found herself in. Not just, of course, the ones that were found to have breached the ministerial code and even prompted ministerial advisors to resign in disgust over Boris Johnson's failure to implement the findings of their own investigations. He lost two in slightly different circumstances, of course, and left office without having put anybody in the role at all.
Exactly.
And Starmer didn't boast about the fact that he's changed the rules to make it even more transparent and allow ministers to refer themselves to the advisor. But when I ran through the list, which has various people on it, Priti Patel being one of them, she had two offences, of course. One when she had secret meetings with a foreign government against the express requirements of her job description, which Theresa May fired her for, and one when an investigation by the ethics advisor Alex Allen found that she'd bullied staff, bullied civil service staff, and Boris Johnson.
She's on the front bench.
Boris Johnson responded by saying we must protect her. Literally, you couldn't have a more different response to a scandal. I'd forgotten, however, that she was shadow foreign secretary. So again, Badenoch kind of pulls this blunderbuss out of her arsenal and Keir Starmer can just spike the gun really easily by saying, look who you're sitting next to. Everything is worse.
Yeah, and he
you've made
did
her
that.
Foreign Secretary, shadow Foreign Secretary.
Yeah, he did that, and he laid out the charges against Priti Patel this afternoon as well, saying Tulip Sadiq didn't breach the ministerial code, she didn't do anything wrong, and she actually resigned.
Yeah.
Unlike Priti Patel, who had to be fired.
Does it land? I mean, I know that some of Fleet Street pretends that there are parallels to be drawn, but for the average punter, are they really going to sit there and think this person who's resigned having not broken any rules is just as bad as the person who didn't resign over breaking rules?
Yeah, I think some of it does, some of it doesn't. I don't think that people will be... People have short memories, don't
yes,
they?
They do.
They don't remember all of the stuff that happened under the Tories and happened under Boris Johnson and other Tory prime ministers. But actually, there is a risk, I think, for Keir Starmer here. And there are people in the Labour Party asking genuine questions about his judgment for appointing his friend in the first place.
Well, that's a very different
problem.
Yeah, and that I think Stephen Bush in the FT in his newsletter this morning absolutely nailed it. You just don't hire someone to be a corruption minister who is adjacent to, before these investigations and allegations landed, but adjacent to a regime that was plagued by various suspicions and allegations.
Yeah, I think it was probably a mistake in hindsight to hire her. And obviously, when you become an MP, of course, you have all sorts of security and clearance checks, and there's a lot of background and probing into your links and your family and all this stuff. Like I say, it doesn't feel like it breached any form of rule, but I don't think it's a great look for Keir Starmer, because he said he was going to be better than the last guys, and it does damage a little bit of trust. And again, I don't think it's a knockout blow. It's nothing compared to the Tories, but I think it will damage a little bit of trust in the government. People will, I think, maybe rather than being angry at Keir Starmer, just maybe feel a little bit disappointed.
And unhappiness in the party as well over the contrast with how Louise Haigh was treated.
Yeah, exactly. And Louise Haigh was cut loose fairly quickly compared to Tulip Sadiq, who has arguably been hanging on for a couple of weeks after these allegations first started coming out. And like I say, Keir Starmer is a close ally of Tulip Sadiq. They are constituency neighbours. They are close. I'm pretty sure one of them called the other one of their good friends best friends in politics, or something similar at one point. So yeah, there are questions there, and there are people in the Labour Party that are unhappy with how the Tulip Sadiq saga has been handled, and equally with Rachel Reeves as well. A pretty strong performance from her yesterday in the Commons. He's looking. She looks pretty confident on the front bench today.
Doesn't she? Yeah,
she looks like she is genuinely in sort of control of things and feeling a bit. I think she came out.
Inflation was good, unexpected good news. I don't think that she can claim the credit for it necessarily, but
no, but she's come out the last 48 hours stronger than she went into them coming out of
That's a good
China.
way of putting it.
And she's not out of the woods. She's got a tricky few months of public finances, lots of speculation about what she's going to do. And interesting, you heard Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch tried to get him to rule out tax rises. He wouldn't do that. He said, I don't want to tax my way out of this problem. But that's going to be, I think, a theme for Kemi Badenoch to continue to hit them with for the next couple of months.
Thank goodness she brought up the Chagos Islands. That'll be a big issue to the majority of the British public.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to go, where on earth are they?
Also, Chris asks, I thought the Tories negotiated these deals.
They started it, yeah, they did.
Labour just got it signed.
They did. James Cleverly, as Foreign Secretary, started negotiating this deal.
With the intention of not ending the negotiation with a deal, or with the intention of ending it with a different deal that goes to a different school.
That's their argument. Exactly, right. That's their argument.
Good old James Cleverly.
Different argument goes to different school. They would have had to come to some sort of deal because the lease was at risk of being legal challenged. But hey,
don't ever let the facts stand in the way of